send out an announcement or not, or just keep it really low key. What do we do? I guess I'll do it. Boom announcement in a second. I'll let people come in and then we'll get started. Okie dokie. Give it a minute for people to come in and then we'll get started. Okay. There's this one guy who complains about us not making this one type of dog, and he does it twice a month for the last 6 months. And anyway, I think we just about have enough people, and we can get started soon.
It looks like we're about leveling off. Or not. As soon as I said that, it jumped up by 50 people.
Okay, we'll wait another minute.
Okay, now it looks stable.
Um, cool. Well, thank you for coming to this week's office hours. It's going to be a little short this time because I'm not feeling so well again, unfortunately. But basically, what we do is we give updates on what we're thinking about, what we're working on, and then we take some questions, and then we call it a wrap. Usually, I'll do a few hours of questions, but I'm gonna probably just do a lightning round, or maybe just like a lightning round today, and where people throw their questions in the chat room, and I'll just go through them, kind of Twitch streamer style, and then that will call it a wrap. So sorry for doing it short, but I just kind of want to preserve my energy and sort of drink a lot of fluids for a bit. But thanks for coming. Let's see what's going on right now. So I think the main priorities remain basically building out a lot of our own platform stuff. So sort of standalone web Midjourney, standalone mobile with Midjourney. We're investing in more servers to try to basically just have a lot of good supply over the next year, because we think there's going to be a lot of GPU shortages. And just, there's no risk for us because we're investing in it, but we're investing in it to make sure there's no risk. So that's pretty cool. We're basically using all the yearly subscriptions to basically have the yearly subscriptions, and we sort of say, okay, with this yearly subscription set of money, what sort of stuff can we buy out for the next year to make sure that we're good? And there are a lot of good options, so I feel really confident about just like having fast and large amounts of compute over the next year. So that's great. So basically, kind of investing in sort of being our own long-term platform is probably the number one thing right now. I think there's a lot of things we could do if we wanted to kind of push harder and put those things at risk. But we do kind of want to be around for people for a long time. So basically, what are long-term things that we want? Well, we're going to want to be able to have our own user interfaces. which are really polished, and make everything easier to use, sort of help people get in flow. And then we want to have like sort of like really reliable compute that we can optimize around, um, and try to move towards probably a combination of faster image generation and larger batch image generation. And then finally, when we start to do video in 3D, we want to make sure that everything is optimized enough that we can do that without having to raise prices. So we think we're trying to, basically cost optimize the infrastructure out as best we can. And let's see, next things we're working on are, we have some in-painting ready. There's some better styles ready. So those could be 5.3. And so we'll try to release that at some point, but it's been, again, unfortunately, a bit bottlenecked on Discord because we have a way to do in-painting inside of Discord, but it involves sort of some new UI stuff that hasn't been released before. And I think they're trying to either make sure that that gets into the mobile apps for Discord, or we decide to turn off the mobile version of in-painting and just do a desktop-only release. And so I think they're kind of meeting about that right now and talking about it. And I'm totally fine having it be desktop only if it gets it out more quickly. But I think because there's sort of like, it's a release that kind of involves both Midjourney and Discord, it's unfortunately dragged out a lot longer than I think has been necessary on our side at least. But it makes sense that, they're pushing something out to everybody on Discord. So it's a big release for them. And let's see. What else is going on? V6 is continuing to roll along. We do have versions that are better than V5 now, so that's cool. We could release something if we wanted anytime, but I think right now we feel like that we would like it to be better still. Like, it feels not quite like a V6. It feels more like a V5.5 right now, and I don't know if we want to go through the hassle of a huge release for gains that are not as large as we'd like. So we are kind of going back to sort of, we're doing a lot of more experiments to try to see a combination of low-hanging fruit and harder ones about what we can do to push it up a bit more. We have a lot of ideas, but it does mean that it takes a little longer. Yeah, so definitely, I think that means that V6 is not coming, unfortunately, in July. But we could release something in July, but I think we kind of we'll wait and make it better. Some of the releases are easier than others. It's kind of hard to describe, but if the release involves like a significantly different type of model, which the V6 is trying to be right now, it's a bit of a pain. So we don't necessarily want to do those releases unless we have to. And so we'd rather kind of keep developing it for a bit. And we're 100% confident that things can be way better still. But I think what's challenging is that we have to balance kind of trying to get things out with like trying to make things really better. And every once in a while, we'll try to make things better and it'll take a really long time. It'll take too long. And sometimes we'll try to get things out and it won't be as good as we'd like it to be. So that's kind of the risk when you go for short term versus long term. So probably we're kind of learning here. So there's a lot of, in the process, we're actually like discovering new things about how these models work still. And so we've kind of uncovered some new stuff, and it leads us to getting some better performance, but not as better as we'd like. So we're going to keep working on it for a little bit. Yeah, we tried changing some of how the ranked images work. There's a chance that we can get more data out of it. So we don't really know if it's going to work or not, but if you will have noticed the ranked image stuff has changed and you see any issues, let us know. If it works out well, we might be able to improve the performance of the algorithms better and the ranking stuff better, but we don't really know. It's kind of like a very experimental ranking system. What else is going on? We're doing more voice events. So we're doing these art classes for Niji, and then we're doing Peter Moorbacher comes on Tuesdays, and then we're doing more prompt battles. I hope everybody enjoys the events. I pop in and out, and it looks really cool. And you don't have to go to all of them, but I think the hope is that there's a lot of cool stuff going on all the time at different times, so people can kind of have chances to interact with other people on the community. Um, what else is going on? We changed the rules a little bit on the front page, so that way you can't see more than more than two images from one person. So we had some issues before with the front page kind of getting taken over by a small number of people. So that is structurally not possible now, and I think it's leading to a more diverse front page, which is great. We are working on more sophisticated algorithms for a future version of the front page, and we think it's going to be way, 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 way better. And so we're hoping that we're pretty excited for that. But it will probably not come until the next version of the website and the mobile stuff. But just letting you know that we're kind of putting a lot of energy into thinking about how to make it easier to explore other images that are being made on Midjourney. Let's see. I think they're working on an overhaul for the image archive downloads. I'm not sure what's going on there, but there were some issues, and I don't know if it got out or not, but I'm sorry if anybody had a hard time downloading their images. This is I think that's the main things. I feel like, let me think for one more minute. We have like a lot of crazy projects going on, like whether it's like 3D or motion and real-time stuff. And we have another secret one that is going actually really well, and I don't want to sort of spoil it yet, but that'll be really cool. It's sort of related to our storytelling research, which is underway. So I think that's going really well. We might see something sooner than I thought there, which I'm excited about. Let's see. There was one more thing. Oh, what was it? Oh, yes. We're trying to reevaluate the turbo mode a little bit. So we're going to be able to have a turbo mode that goes even faster still. And we're trying to decide, do we make the speed faster, keep price the same? Do we give people more options? Do we give them an option for having 2 images that are faster at the same price instead of 4? I think we'll probably ask some more questions around that from everybody. And so it definitely is something we're trying to figure out. But we do think that there's definitely an opportunity for people who maybe don't need as many images, but who just want to iterate really quickly, particularly if you lock your seed, to be able to give you those much faster speeds with a smaller number of images and let you just iterate really quickly. So I think that can be compelling. Yeah. So we're gonna try to. There's an opportunity for one more speed bump, and we're probably gonna push out a faster version of Turbo, and then some version of Turbo that lets you maybe make half as many images for the same price or something as a normal job. So that way, it doesn't burn through your fast hours the same way. But we're trying to figure that out. And that's it. So next we can go into a lightning round. The Niji team right now is working more on video and on sort of control net-like things. I'm not aware of weird with seeds being broken, so maybe put that in the bugs channel. Laser turbo. Yeah, we're not sure whether to call every multiple turbo modes like turbo and mega turbo, or if we make turbo a configurable thing. We're thinking of making turbo just a configurable thing where you type turbo and it gives you like options. Yeah, we are concerned about video in general. We think it is hard to do it really well, but we think we can cheat a little bit, and we have a feeling there is some form of moving image that will be good. It may not be everything you want it to be, but we think there is some way of doing it that will be good. And it may be, I think there's a good chance it has some limitations, but I think a video with limitations is still better than not. Yeah. But I think the expectations can be like, I want a cat movie and it gives it to you. That's not going to happen. Banner and pass images don't work on the MJ website. I don't know what that means, so it'd be posted in the bugs channel. Thank you for letting us know. Um, a blind friend using Midjourney. That's pretty cool. Yeah, write it down somewhere, and it'd be in the ideas and feedback channel. Something. It's kind of like a weird place, but if you have a really cool story, I just throw it there anyway. Alpha.midjourney is like a thing that was available to a small set of users. If you were using those, if you had access to that, it's not really being supported anymore because we're just focusing on the next version. The next version is really, really different. The quality of images can definitely still be like 100x better. It's probably hard to imagine, but I think what 100x better looks like is much higher resolution, much more details, much more like varied and beautiful, unexpected aesthetics. It looks like way better understanding around text, way better user interfaces, way more control, compositionality, real-time stuff. I definitely think the part of the quality improvement around images will be purely algorithmic, like just being higher resolution and more detailed. And part of it will be around having better user interfaces that allow people to actually make better images. Yeah, and I think they're both really important. There's probably like a 10 to 100x. It's probably like 10x if you're just looking at like the raw quality of an image, but it's probably like 100x when you take into account the controllability and the better user interface side that lets people to actually make better images. Maybe somewhere 10x around like the actual raw aesthetic understanding of the system. Yeah, we're waiting for 5.3. It's based off of Discord. I keep thinking it's next week, but I've been saying that for 3 weeks now, so I don't really want to give a date for it at this point. It really does depend on Discord, unfortunately. Yeah, we're not really sure what's going to go on with Niji. Like another version of Niji. I think right now the Niji team is working more on controllability and on video. They feel like that additional image quality probably helps a lot more for realistic images and for pure illustrations. And that for illustrations, probably like video and controllability matters more at this point, which probably true. What do I think about the aliens at Congress today? Well, I'm really excited about aliens. I don't really understand why an alien craft would crash on Earth. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me from like if they can get to Earth, it probably wouldn't crash on Earth. So maybe there's some civilizations that are on Earth, like under the ocean or Antarctica or something, and maybe those are just like on shrooms and they crash into Utah. That makes more sense to me. But I don't know. In general, I'm happy people are talking about aliens. I'm very into aliens. Yeah, so like choosing a banner or profile image, maybe that is broken right now on the website. We're not going to have like profiles on the next version of the website for a bit. We're just going to kind of have like searching, and you can search for users, or you can search for stuff. We think that profiles is kind of a thing we're just sort of not ready to focus on right now. Everyone's always asking me to talk about other people's AI stuff. Yeah, I don't know. There's a new stable diffusion. They say it's released, but I don't know if you can actually use it anywhere, which is weird. It's definitely not as good as Midjourney still, but they are trying and they're doing good jobs and they're discovering new stuff. So good for them. But it's gonna be hard for anyone to. I'm not sure at this point if people are gonna catch up to us. Like it would be fun, it'd be interesting, but nobody's really done no one's done a very good job, it seems like, on catching up. So we'll see if that. It feels like no one's just trying as hard as us. We work really hard on this, and it feels like to everybody else, generating images is like a second priority to whatever else they're doing. which is, I guess good for us. Um, yeah, we're definitely going to try to get away from like plastic skin. I don't know what, well, yeah, I don't know what, probably try to steer it. I'm going to probably try to steer images a little bit towards photorealism or illustrativeness rather than sort of these like 3D like things. I think there's a bias from the users kind of saying like Unreal Engine, Unreal Engine, Unreal Engine, and it like fucks with our default aesthetic. So I'm going to try a little harder to get that out in the next version, but we'll see what happens. Relax mode for basic. I don't know. Probably not. We've thought about having like relax mode minutes on basic. So like 200 fast minutes, 200 relax mode minutes. So it's possible we do something like that at some point. We're definitely going to redo Describe at some point. I think the next version of Describe we do is going to be really great, but it'll be really different. Yeah, so the quality --Q doesn't really do anything anymore with V5. If you go over 1, I don't think we've done Q2 since like test or test P or V3, so we kind of just stopped doing that. So in general, like Q 0.05, 0.5 or 0.25 can be really great for going faster and for testing things quickly, but I wouldn't recommend trying to do a higher Q setting. It's just not going to do anything. I think the rank pair should show upscales right now. And I think it should affect the community hot thing. We may just change that yesterday. We will do more we'll do more community meetings for Midjourney one day. They were allowed to do ones at Burning Man. I'd say there'd be a Burning Man one, but I feel like half the art of Burning Man this year is going to be Midjourney made. Yeah, we're going to wait for image ranking V6 until we're a little closer. Croppy added? I'm not sure what crop means. We would probably not have a higher speed relax mode. Relax mode's pretty fast already. V6 will not be waiting for Discord. It's just a new model. Storytelling team is new. Just getting started. We have some stuff going really well. How many hours do I work in a day? I kind of work all the time, unless like I have friends visiting me or I'm like walking outside or something. Hands and guns. What's with hands and guns? I think there's a lot of things that involve like weapons that just don't work well, and we're still trying to understand what that is. I think it's like when things can point in lots of different directions. Hard? I don't know. We would like higher resolution. We were trying to focus more on language understanding for V6 because people wanted more. We're having some trouble with it, so if we end up continuing to have trouble with language understanding, we eventually could fall back and just push for a higher resolution launch. I have tried some versions of V6 and they do look better. It was like more coherent and more variety of aesthetics. Are like working pretty well right now. We're working on a new help website too. I forgot to mention this. So it'll be something like, midjourney.com/help or something. It's just going to have like a lot of documentation with easy search. And if you can't find an answer, you'll be able to contact a customer service thing at Midjourney and get an answer. It will not be real time. I don't think it's reasonable to expect us to hold a real-time support thing for millions of people at the size we are, but we will have a team that can answer questions. And then every time they answer a question that's not in the FAQ system, they will add it, and then it'll just keep growing, and hopefully it will be able to eventually help everybody. So we're trying to take a lot of our things around moderation and answering questions and systematizing them, so that way it kind of gets better over time. And right now, unfortunately, both support and moderation aren't able to get better over time. They just sort of are there or not there. And so trying to systematize it so that things get better over time is a big priority for us. I think it's the only way to get to something that's fully scalable.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm not sure about how to give people information about likes on their images without them focusing on maximum likes. I thought I'd give people information on how weird their images are. So if you make a really weird image, it's like, whoa, that's a weird image. So we'll see how that goes. How do I think aliens could communicate with us? We could probably log on to the internet. You could be talking to an alien right now, you know? Or maybe they just like download the internet and simulate humans and talk to them. Maybe they have like a chat GPT that is like a human, but way more human, and they just simulate humans and talk to them. Or maybe they like appear to us in dreams. Maybe they can like speak into our minds. I don't know. I feel like if aliens were interacting with us, it would either be like really subtle, like they could whisper, they could kind of like influence us, sort of like what we influence our ideas, or it would be really overt, like a giant like mirrored sphere appears above New York and just hovers there. That's like a mile wide. That's a book called Childhood's End. It's really good. There's this book called Childhood's End where these giant metal spheres just like appear over all the cities, like a mile wide spheres, and then they don't actually say anything to us. They just sort of float there and don't speak to us. And just having these giant like silver spheres floating over our cities that aren't talking to us is enough to like completely change our civilization, where like all the wars stop and everybody stops fighting and everyone just starts trying to focus on science and feeding people. And it was like interesting how like they don't even have to talk to us. They could just appear and just sit there in some like completely overwhelming way. Yeah, Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. It's a really wonderful book. Um, yeah, tasteful nudity is something that I am open to as a concept, but the problem is that like tasteful nudity very quickly becomes like softcore porn and people trying to push things to be underage. So I haven't quite figured out a good way to allow that yet. I'm definitely open to ideas, but it's also definitely not a priority for us. Um, yeah, maybe humans are part alien. You know, a cool thing is Mars was theoretically habitable and Venus were habitable. In theory, both Mars and Venus could support life and were more like Earth at the same time. And then something terrible happened to both planets, and then and then basically life arose on Earth. So maybe like Venus and Mars were like two different species, and they were at war, and then like they destroyed each other's planets, and then the survivors came to Earth. Maybe men are really from Mars and women are really from Venus. I don't think that's true, but it's a fun thought. Oh, also, like the asteroid belt used to be a planet and it was completely destroyed. So maybe they were also really assholes. Um, yeah. Um, what's on David's walls? I don't have a lot of art in my house. I think I only have like a few things. I have some plants. I have this Chinese painting of like San Francisco and Guijin. I don't know how to say it. It's like a Chinese sort of like these Chinese mountains and river and like the Golden Gate Bridge. It's kind of beautiful. Yeah, I don't have a lot of art in my house. It's kind of too close to work. I kind of prefer it being very minimalist, and I prefer a lot of plants. Um, how many images have been made by Midjourney? A lot. 3D is going to be probably more like nerfs, but eventually we'll do some mesh stuff. Yeah, so nudity isn't really just about having things for 18 years and older, because it's not really just, I think we're worried about, we just don't really want to be like a porn thing right now. And I think there's like, it's easy for people to say that like, yeah, it's hard to, I think at some point we could probably figure out a way to make it nuanced, but I think right now it's really hard to be nuanced. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that spoke to me most about this idea of nudity in art galleries is that like there's a lot of nude art, from like, all across history, but for some reason, like a lot of the nude art was showed off in places that women couldn't go. So it's interesting to ask, like, if like there's something, I don't know. It's interesting to ask like how much nude art is actually about being nude versus about being porn. I don't know. It's kind of a controversial take. Obviously, some of it's not, but like if you go back in history, like I think a lot of it now, I think there is a lot of art now that involves nudity, which is not porn. But it's really interesting to ask, like, if you go back 300 years, like, was it was it kind of just porn? I don't know. It's an interesting question. I'd love to hear some like nuanced historical takes, but I think it's probably, um, I think it's probably, it's hard to implement some kind of. I think there's nuance, and unfortunately, it's pretty hard to be nuanced with like AI. Um, in this way, we have some ideas on how we could do it. So I do think eventually we'll be able to get some nuance in there. But you know, um, yeah. Um, everyone just wants porn. I'm sorry, everyone. Uh, I did see Oppenheimer. It was a fun movie. I want to see Barbie still. We'll see when I get to see Barbie. If I'm feeling a little better, I'll definitely go see Barbie. Um, yeah, we've often wondered if like teaching Midjourney to draw new stuff actually makes it better at clothes people too. I'd love to do that test one day. The problem is that a lot of nudity is porn, and then a lot of porn is actually not like a normal depiction of human. It's almost like the male gaze, and so it can like learn the male gaze and change what women are and stuff like that, which is kind of fucked up. So we're very careful around a lot of the nudity and porn stuff. Um, yeah, we definitely. Well, I think yeah, a really good AI image won't affect Midjourney, but a bad AI image will affect Midjourney. So we've been trying to. We had some Dolly images got into things and it fucked it up. So like we definitely don't want Dolly images to get into our training data set. Um, um, yeah, we definitely want to try to push Midjourney towards breaking stereotypes and mixing styles. Nerfs aren't really meshes; they're more of like volumetric light fields. Um, yeah, train the porn on men first. Yeah, I think we are like weirdly more flexible around like sexualization of dudes than women because it like balances things out a little bit. But I definitely think that there is obviously a line where we stop. Um, all right, looks like the questions are petering down. Anybody else have more questions? Yeah, we don't know exactly when 5.3 comes out. We could do depth map conditioning, but we're not. I don't know about depth map outputs. We could do transparency, but it seems like not the thing to focus on right now versus like resolution. So we are going to try to release in painting. I'm very curious if people like it or not, or if it actually becomes popular. I did see the art place. It was really cool. I was happy to see that. I don't think we're planning on turning off V3 or other things, but it's possible on the website it won't have as good support, so I'm sorry for that in advance. We are going to try to have some kind of style exploration tool at some point. I don't think we have an exact ETA for V6. I'm sorry. We're not planning on doing an API right now. I think we want to solve moderation first because we feel like if we have an API, we're going to have to do more moderation of the actual API services, and we just don't have time to moderate both the normal and the API users. I like outpainting more than inpainting personally, but I see a reason for inpainting. I'm like a little skeptical still that it makes sense long term. And I don't really know if I go outpainting. I'd think of more of like make it into a panorama or zoom out, you know? Um, yeah, we have L. It's not a priority for V6 or V7 right now. It could happen. The Midjourney image model, to my knowledge, is the largest image model in production still, but it's not really just a size thing. Um, yeah, V6 should have more coherency. V6 will have more data than V5. We're trying to like double the data. We want to make it 10x, but we're really behind on data stuff, unfortunately. Still pretty hard. Um, yeah, we're not really sure what bad human images do. We actually throw out a lot of images before our training. So if somebody makes like if like a poorly drawn image or something is unlikely to be in the training set, or just poorly made images in general, we throw out most of the images. Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's not exactly like quality might not be what you think. So like a picture of grass may not be like a good picture, but it's useful for learning about grass. So we're gonna keep that. Mostly just photos of things, trying to understand the world. Things like drawings, I think, are actually just like almost like a style of the world. But the world is where you actually get all the images from. I don't know when the new Describe will come. It probably won't specifically come with V6, but it's kind of an independent project. What video content is Midjourney working on? We're not like doing video tutorials or anything right now. I'd like to. If you want to go both up and down or left and right on outpainting, you click the custom zoom and then you tell to do 2 by 1 or something. Um, well, when you do custom zoom at 1x to change things, it's still making a new image. So we charge based off the amount of time it takes, not off of like concepts. Um, yeah, there are plans for Midjourney to do video. It's kind of linear thinking, so it's not like the non-linear bump, but I think it'll be cool. I want to be careful and yeah, it's definitely going to be really cool. When I say real time, I usually mean like you can interact with the thing in real time and it's changing in real time. I don't really have a good place for AI generative theory. There isn't really like a good course yet. I wish Karpathy would write something, but there aren't that many people who actually teach AI. You just kind of have to build a lot of stuff. Yeah, so hands are just hard to draw for humans too. So it's just like a thing that it does. It gets better over time. Every version you release is better at hands. And I'm convinced that V6 will be better at hands than V5. If V6 was ready before 5.3, we would release we would release V6 and skip 5.3, sadly. I hope that doesn't happen. Mm. I think that we're not really going to make anything where Midjourney makes like a video for you that has like a story. I think it's going to be up to people to make stories. And I think that generating the videos with Midjourney is going to be a lot harder than doing image stuff. So we're slightly cautious around it being hard and making something that's like not really used by many people. So I think we have pretty high standards for what we want to make. Which is one reason we haven't released anything yet.
Um,
Yeah, we would love to do things like classroom site licenses, but unfortunately, billing is really hard, and it sounds dumb for me to say that because you'd be like, "You do AI," you know? And yeah, for some reason, they're just like, if you know exactly what your business model is, it's easy to code it. But the second you want to have like all these different versions of everything, and they change all the time, all the billing infrastructure systems are really bad. And I think that'll get a lot better over the next year. But sadly, adding lots of different billing things, unless it's like very simple, like a higher price plan, is actually hard. So we're not going to do a lot of those things for a bit. But I think that like enterprise seat management, even though like it makes me groan, that's something we'll probably add this year still. Um, yeah, so happy if I'm happy. I like even though I'm not feeling well, I'm still holding the office hours because I hope that it's helpful and makes people happy and helps everyone feel connected. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to get to talk too low a voice today. Yeah, Fast AI is pretty cool. I don't know if they have anything on generative learning yet. Yeah, there are an upper limit of subscribers that would break Midjourney. I guess I can't really say how many that is because that would give information about how many people there currently are. But I think we could probably be we could probably have twice as many people before things start to break down. And then we're investing in more server infrastructure to do another doubling. So I think our goal is to be able to have another 4x headroom. But as we get bigger, adding 2x is harder and harder because it is just bigger in absolute scale. I'm not drinking any smoothies today. I had a Soylent. It's kind of like this tech person drink. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like a smoothie, but it has a lot of vitamins in it. Um, I had a chocolate Soylent. It was nice. Um, Smoothies and pizzas. Yes, both foods of the gods. If Midjourney had a Soylent, what would its color flavor be? I don't know, man. I like. Okay, it sounds like people are starting to pizza smoothie or a smoothie pizza. I think a smoothie pizza would be better. Um, Gluten-free pizza can actually be quite good nowadays. Okay, looks like our questions are petering off. I'll do another minute or two left if anybody wants to throw any more questions in. Are we going to sponsor any hackathons? I think if we had an API one day, we would. Like, but right now we're probably holding off on it. I'm not aware. I don't know what the back rooms is. Emergent uses of Midjourney. I hear people are using it a lot for interior design and material selection and like house design stuff. So I think the architecture and furniture stuff is pretty cool. That was a new thing I heard recently. Um, Relax should be okay, but I can ask someone to check into it. The parents are good. They visited recently. Can still access your pictures if your subscription ends. Yes. Yeah, we've thought about having like a nudity, like the purge for nudity. Yeah, I actually thought about doing like Thunderdome, where you have to like go to this physical place. There's like a physical place in the world where you can make nude images. That would be funny. We don't actually even have a version that can do nudity very well right now because we take the nudity out of the training data. Text will be better in future models. We don't know when. It might be V7 or V8, but it's like we're trying to kind of rank what people want from us right now most, which seems to be text understanding, image quality, and resolution. So we're thinking, and then like bigger batches is something that we just feel pretty strongly about. We're probably not going to do audio generation. It seems like a lot of people are going to try doing it though. All right. I think video is not really related to versions. It's kind of a parallel track. Same with 3D. Cool. I think we're starting to wrap up for the day. So, Midjourney cafes. Yeah, I'd like to do a Midjourney cafe. If I get contacted by aliens, will I let you know? Unfortunately, I think the aliens wouldn't want me to use my public persona uh, to talk to everyone. If the aliens were talking to me already, at least that's what they would say. um, I do prefer Twitter over Threads. Sorry, we're not going to do outpainting for V4. I'm sorry. Um, yeah, yeah. Calling it X looks cool in writing, but doesn't sound as nice when I say it out loud. Favorite candy? I like Reese's. Okie dokie. I think we're done for the day. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Sorry that's a little shorter today. I wish I could hear everybody's voices on, personally and have longer to talk to everybody, but we're gonna cut it short and just give everybody some updates and take some questions, and then we're gonna just call it a short day today. So I hope I see everybody next week, and I'm gonna try to hopefully I'm feeling better and I'll do a longer one, but hope everybody has a nice day, and thank you for being a part of the community, and thank you for coming, and have fun. I hope everybody has fun. Check out the prompt battles too. The prompt battles are pretty cool. I'd recommend the prompt battles. Have fun, everyone. Have a nice day.